Ladies and gentlemen, today we have some absolutely stunning news coming right out of the Middle East. You see, late last evening, we got the report that President Trump has officially cut contact with and sidelined Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, after saying that during the ongoing joint Middle Eastern geopolitical discussions, Israeli leadership has acted arrogant, trying to strong-arm President Trump on numerous occasions. Right now, President Trump is absolutely furious with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's behavior, calling it disrespectful. And so now he's pursuing his goals in the Middle East without Israel's input. Really, this bold move ensures U.S. policy serves American interests, not the foreign interests of Israel. And so just this morning, President Trump actually dropped the requirement for Saudi Arabia to normalize its ties with Israel in order to finalize their nuclear energy deal, meaning that Saudi Arabia is now free to pursue nuclear energy whether or not they're on good terms with Netanyahu's government. Just this morning, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth also canceled his pre-planned trip to Israel, further signaling that Israel no longer has a seat at President Trump's table. President Trump is making it very clear America calls the shots, not Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war-hungry government. You see, for weeks now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been pushing for military strikes on Iran, trying to drag America into yet another foreign war in the Middle East. And so President Trump's refusal to get involved keeps our focus on our own national priorities rather than Israel's war-hawkish schemes halfway around the world. Really, Netanyahu's push for war undermines President Trump's diplomatic strategy. Right now, President Trump is negotiating with Iran and pursuing peace talks, rather than just recklessly trying to bomb everyone in the Middle East into submission. These steps safeguard U.S. security and economic interests, unlike Israel's unnecessary calls for military escalation. And so here's the truth. The America First credo is what's driving President Trump's vision in the Middle East. By sidelining Israel, he's really prioritizing U.S. prosperity as well as geopolitical independence. American resources are for American people, not for fulfilling the demands of foreign leaders like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And I hate to say it, but the deteriorating U.S.-Israel ties stem directly from Benjamin Netanyahu's war-hungry antics. His lack of coordination and attempts to manipulate President Trump have eroded a huge amount of trust, and so really, President Trump's independent path is the only way forward now. And folks, here's the other thing. President Trump's sidelining of Israel reasserts American dominance. No foreign leader can dictate our foreign policy. He's breaking free from Israel's sway, ensuring that we maintain autonomy on the global stage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot more to talk about here, but I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, check this out. Many experts agree that Benjamin Netanyahu's political survival in Israel hinges on endless war in the Middle East. His far-right coalition demands war, clashing with President Trump's America First goal of avoiding new foreign entanglements. And so here's the reality. President Trump's pragmatic approach here ultimately keeps U.S. options open. He's maintaining ties with Israel, but on terms that he gets to dictate. Trump is setting the rules for America's involvement in the Middle East, not Israel and not Benjamin Netanyahu. And so, regrettably, Netanyahu's arrogance has ultimately shattered bilateral trust. His disrespect and misalignment with President Trump's America First objectives have forced this break. And so, very rightfully so, President Trump is forging a path in the Middle East that puts American interests above everything else. In summary, President Trump's America First policy rejects unnecessary foreign wars. Past administrations bent over backwards for Israel's ambitions in the Middle East, but Trump is choosing diplomacy. He's refusing to drop bombs when peace serves American interests better than unnecessary reckless conflict. And so, folks, here's the real truth. Excessive foreign influence threatens basic American autonomy. The America First movement demands fewer entanglements and fewer foreign wars. President Trump's push for America First foreign policy breaks the chains of all of this unnecessary external influence. And so here's something that I know we can all agree on. After 2 decades of Middle Eastern wars, Americans are done getting involved in the Middle East. Another conflict serving Israel's geopolitical interests rather than our own is unacceptable for the vast majority of Americans here in America. President Trump is very clearly not on board with sending American soldiers back into the Middle East, and you know what? Thank God for that. Just a couple months ago, when President Trump took office, America was in a state of total decay. Fixing our nation means focusing on domestic issues here at home, jobs, borders, infrastructure, not sending young Americans to die in Middle Eastern wars that don't directly benefit the lives of everyday Americans. And so this is why President Trump's America First Middle Eastern strategy is the pursuit of diplomacy and peace rather than bloodshed. Decades of trying to play kingmaker in the Middle East has left us with trillions of dollars in debt and thousands of dead American soldiers. And so the America First agenda very clearly says no to making that same mistake. And so here's the truth. President Trump very obviously shares none of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's desire for more U.S. involvement in the Middle East. Here's the deal. If it doesn't help everyday Americans, we are not doing it. Our priorities are clear, and war is not one of them. For decades, our previous presidential administrations bowed to foreign demands, bleeding America dry in pursuit of endless foreign conflict, which is why President Trump's refusal to capitulate to Benjamin Netanyahu is so important. It shows that he answers to us, the American people, not to foreign leaders. The American people gave President Trump a massive mandate in the 2024 election to fix our nation, and we are fed up with foreign wars draining all of our resources. And so this is why President Trump's Middle Eastern policy is putting diplomacy first rather than dropping bombs on Benjamin Netanyahu's behalf. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here's the truth. President Trump's sidelining of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a massive win for American independence and American prosperity. He's actively keeping America out of yet another pointless foreign war in the Middle East, instead choosing to focus on the needs of Americans here at home in America. And so, folks, I don't know about you, but to me, that is what it means to put America first. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up, I do want to say real quick that we officially have a Morse News Twitter page as well as a Morse News Facebook page. So if you use either of those platforms, please go down below and drop a follow in order to get breaking news updates that relate to everything we talk about here in the YouTube videos. But everyone, that is going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there, and like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.